Our next award is the Deborah Davis Award for Transgender Advocacy, named in honor of UW Stout alumna Deborah Davis, who graduated in 1969 with a bachelor's degree in education and completed a master's degree, also at Stout, in communications media technology in 1988. Ms. Davis went on to become an award-winning transgender educator, activist, and nationally renowned speaker, trainer, and author. She is executive director of the Gender Education Center, a Minnesota nonprofit organization of transgender people dedicated to support, advocacy, and education. And she is the winner of over a dozen awards from local and national organizations, including the Human Rights Campaign, Curve Magazine, Outfront Minnesota, and Twin Cities Pride. Ms. Davis is a retired librarian who came out in 1988 as a transgender woman at Southwest High School in Minneapolis. Her transition was one of the first successful transitions in the nation, and is thought to be the first, of a transgender person working in public school with children in secondary education. Deborah is a proud UW Stout alum who continues to this day to donate to the Gender and Sexuality Alliance. And we're absolutely thrilled that she and her partner, Don Johnson, are here with us tonight. Please join me in a round of applause.
Sorry, I didn't know what I was supposed to do. Thank you. Oh, thank you. I was told I could speak for a little bit. I had 20, 30 minutes written down and I'll go to about 4. And they wanted me to talk about what was Stout like back in 1965 when I started. It was very different. There was 3 or 4 buildings, the main ones up on the upper campus. Of course, this wasn't here. This was an area where houses were and where we had apartments and stayed either up in the attics or in the basement, and then the families lived in the middle, in nice places. It was a fascinating time. It was during the Vietnam War, was just starting. I remember our first demonstration out in front of Harvey Hall, where there was enough of us to walk in a triangle with our signs, and everybody else kind of stood around and watched us. I also remember, let me see my notes here, and I apologize. I've had a couple strokes, so I don't remember things very well, and I can't read and write, so I'm going to do it best I can. Of my 5 minutes, I know I have like 3 left. So we'll just try to go a little faster here. I remember Harvey Hall in the theater is one of my first memories. I go in, remember the meeting that you had when you were freshmen and they said look at the people on both sides of you? One of them won't be here at the end of the year and only 1 out of the 3 of you will graduate. You'll also change your majors 4 times in the times that you were here, and that's probably true for the vast majority of people. But I was in the auditorium at Harvey Hall, which is being under construction now, I guess, and I said, I want to be in the theater. I want to get up on that stage. And it was interesting because I had a speech impediment. I was a stutterer. I could not say a sentence without blocking or having a problem with that. And so the very first play in the fall was called The Bright Night. It had a part for a deaf, mute guitar player. I thought, that's me. I'm good. I'll sit in the fireplace and play the guitar, because I could. And I tried out for the play, and they gave me the lead. And I told the director, I said, I'll stutter. He said, I don't care. I said, I'll block on words. He said, I don't care. I said, I'll say things differently because it won't come out right. He said, I don't care. And so because of him in that play, I stopped stuttering. It was amazing, and I'd had speech lessons for years since I was in 3rd grade. I'm still very thankful. Noel Fikowski, I don't know if he's still here, or probably is not. The other thing that I remember is when we were not eating in the dorms, we had to find our own place to eat. So I would eat at a place called Chuck Wagon. Chuck Wagon was right across from the administration building up here, right across Broadway. There's two buildings and you see an alley. And the Chuck Wagon was part of that alley where the parking place is right now. And I'd go in there, give them $15, and I'd eat on that for the week, if you can believe it. It was interesting because when they tore it down, there was literally a covered wagon with the wheels buried in the ground, and that's what it was there back then. The other thing I remember was the television department. It was very young then, and I was involved in media and technology. And Stout was in the playoffs in 90 or 69, and we were playing down here in your gym. I don't know what direction it is right now. And we televised that. We had two cameras. One had a turret lens, so you either had one lens and then you turned it. You had another one. We had one zoom lens, and we had a little switcher. We got camera 1, camera 2 were black. We had a big 2-inch tape recorder. We recorded the first session, the first quarter, with I don't even remember who was announcing, and we didn't have any way to broadcast it, so we'd take the tape off the recorder, we'd bring it over to the side of the bleachers, we'd lower it down with a rope, they'd take it from there into somebody who had a car, they'd drive it up to the hill over here where there was a big broadcast tower. I don't know if that's still there, because that's where the cable came out of. They'd hop on their snowmobile, drive the tape up to the building, and then they'd play it, tape delayed. And then the next quarter we'd do the same thing. It was a fascinating, fun time. I always remember what I did here. And I've been broadcasting after that also. We didn't have an LGBT organization. Of course, we didn't have any gay or lesbian folks back then, or trans. Let alone bisexuals or intersex or all the other letters that you want to add at the end of that. We can't have enough letters. Let's just keep adding letters and people to that. However you want to identify is really important. But I'm really glad you do now. I've been supportive of your organization here on campus almost since it started. And one thing I want to remind you, that when you graduate from here, and I always call it when you pop out the other end, with whatever major you're going to go and get work and do things, remember Stout, because your alumni association is going to call you. And they're going to say, would you like to give $50 to the alumni association? And rather than put off the call, I want you to say yes. And target it for the LGBT organization on campus, which is called Gender and Sexuality, the program. And let me tell you, the young lady or young man on the other side of the line will pause, and they'll say, just a minute, and they'll go off, they'll come back and they say, yes, we can do that. And then you need to get a hold of the center and let them know I have done that. If every person who graduated from a college that was gay or lesbian or bisexual or transgender or other would do that, assume it's 10%, I think it's way more than that, we would be the best financed organizations on campus. Think about it. $50 from each one of you, $10 from each one of you every year would be huge. So please think about that and do it. So that's my fundraising pitch for organizations. The last thing is, when people ask me who I am, and I do presentations around the country, I've done a couple, well, over 1,000 of them, I identify myself this way. I'm Deborah Davis. I am a proud parent of 2 daughters. I am the grandmother of 5 phenomenal grandchildren. Yes. My granddaughter is now at the U working for the LGBT group there on campus. Excuse me, oh my goodness. I am your friend, and I could be your neighbor. And oh yes, I happen to be transgender. It's a tiny little piece of who I am, not hugely important to me. Really isn't. All these other things are what makes me who I am. But sometimes when people look at me, or sometimes when people look at you, That tiny piece is all that they see. Know that you are who you are. Know that you're an important person, and as my granddaughter said, own it. Own who you are. Thanks so much for naming this award after me. I'm just excited as I can be, and I'm excited to be here, and I'd love to meet you afterwards and say hello, so thanks so much. Sorry I went too long.